So with this hunt for public land, archery elk hunting, I went down to Idaho Falls, got our llamas from my buddy Bo Beatty, who owns Wilderness Ridge Trail Llamas. With me on this trip are Andrew Gritzbaugh and Karrson from Gerber.
It smells good. It smells really good.
So many trucks on the way, and we get here, and there's no horse trailers. That was the one thing we were hoping for.
Which means there's plenty of room for llamas. That's a good thing. Yeah.
Come here, Marshall. Last thing we need is a runaway llama here. I've never done a hunt without you, Marshall. Yeah, every llama trip I've ever done, you've been with me. Yeah.
This part of southwest Montana is known to have good elk numbers, but that's still not a guarantee.
Even though it's archery season, we don't want anyone shooting you and taking you and gutted out to the check station. Ready? Dale, you ready?
Born ready.
We're down to one camera guy. We're supposed to have two. One of them is sick, so I get to be camera number 2. All the good footage will be mine.
You ready? You look ready, Marshall.
This landscape here is tough sledding. This is not one of those places where you say, oh, I'm gonna just hike 5 miles over that way today. 5 miles in this country requires gaining about 2,000 to 3,000 feet of vertical and dropping 2,000 to 3,000 feet of vertical, and probably even a little more, and then reversing that to get back to camp. So this is not the most friendly country in Montana.
The whole time it felt like we were in deep in elk country from the moment we hit the trailhead.
I think we went 5 or 6 miles through some pretty treacherous backcountry, up and over hills, through rivers, things like that.
This is how you do it, folks. At least when you're producing TV and you got all this stuff to carry, this is how you do it. Oh boys, food everywhere, huh?
When everybody on the trip hears that there's llamas coming, everybody has a different interpretation of what that means, right? So some people interpret it as, oh, that's just for carrying the meat out. Other people interpret it as, oh, cool, we're gonna have wall tents and a stove.
Almost there. Yeah.
Feels elky.
Glad to hear that.
Right about here.
Yeah. The creek is right there.
Yeah.
Got water for the llamas. I'm gonna tie these guys off and get their stakes out, and then we can start unloading them and setting up camp. What do you guys say?
I feel pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Ready?
For this. Oh, man. More than ever. I feel like it's been a lot of work to get here, so we probably should actually go hunting. Kind of like sitting by the river.
Don't knock my tent over now, Karrson. For me, the highlight of this hunt is spending time with Andrew and Karrson. They are easygoing guys. Anytime I've ever done anything with them, it's just all fun. Everything is lighthearted. I can't say for sure, but I would bet if they come here and we have a few encounters, that's probably gonna be enough for them, but not enough for me. I want them to come here and have one of those in-your-face kind of encounters and get a shot at a bull elk.
That first night we went out to this place that Randy had pointed out on Onyx maps a few months back, and him and Dale had gone out and scouted it.
Just heard a bugle, but with the wind swirling, we couldn't tell where it came from.
The first couple of days of the trip, we put Karrson up as the shooter, so he'd have the first opportunity at bull elk that we found.
I say you go down there, and if you hear him getting closer and closer, just one of the things that we stumbled upon right away, we heard a bugle down below us. And so we set up on it. And I'm cow calling. And then up behind us comes another bugle. Darn, I think those are other hunters. And they walked right up on the ridge with us. They had no idea we were there. Ooh, that's exactly what I didn't want. But it's public land, you know? So I went over and talked to them. And they said they're camped that way. We're camped that way. So we got about an hour and a half. I'm going back to camp. Saw a lot of tracks between here and camp. Here we go. When I told Karrson how much calling would be involved in this hunt, you could sense a lot of enthusiasm in his voice. And he told me, he's like, I've got all the new stuff from Rocky Mountain hunting calls. I've been practicing. I've been listening to everything I can. I'm gonna be ready. I'm just gonna let him do as much calling as he wants.
I got to bugle and we had a response, so we thought we had a location on a bull for the next day.
It's cool to hear him right up there. I think we're probably within 400 or 500 yards at one point. Stopped talking like 15 minutes ago. Stopped responding. We're hoping he's working his way down. But it's been quite a while now, so we're kind of thinking he might be done with us for tonight.
It's cool. Kept waiting for him to pop out.
Yeah, well, there's just so much rock and scree there, they're not gonna cross that to come see you.
Dude, I was saying, it just seems like not the terrain for them.
But if you look up above it, it's a really good bedding cover, and it's just regular, like, lodgepole.
Yeah.
One thing that most of you who hunt elk in the rut know, that if there are big obstacles, you're usually not gonna call elk across those. Cool.
Wow.
You got a response. Good job.
That's cool. Came back to camp, kind of made a plan for the next day.
I think the spirits were pretty high.
I'm so ready,
Say about that.
so ready to bend it and send it tomorrow.
Bend it and tend it?
Bend it and
Bend it,
send
send
it.
it.
That's all the young guys say.
Bend it and tend it.
Send it.
Send it.
Send the
Bend
arrow.
it and send it.
I think we're gonna have a good time no matter what the outcome is. And we'll see what that outcome is. Hopefully, it's gonna be an outcome that has one of them hanging their tag on a public land bull elk here in South Montana. So when we woke up with the first full day of hunting ahead of us, we'd heard 2 bulls the night before. Yeah, it was somewhat tempered by how much hunting pressure we knew was down below us. But you know what? This is the day. This is the day.
And we're walking through there, hiking through there, and the whole time I'm thinking, like, they've got to be right here. Like, it looks like such prime elk territory.
We've been sitting here waiting for it to get daylight, hoping we might hear something. Last night we left a bull up on top of this ridge. So now that we have the downhill thermal this morning, we're gonna go up there with the wind in our face. Karrson's gonna kill him. Ready? Ready. He's up. He's up there waiting for you. Find him. Andrew said so.
He's my boss, so he's probably right.
Yeah.
We're going up the hill. I don't want to hear anything about it.
My thought was, well, let's start working these ridges up and let's get really high, because 2 things. 1, as warm as it's gonna be, they could be higher. And 2, if there's been all this hunting pressure down in this burn, there's a really good chance that that hunting pressure could have these elk moved up a lot higher.
we're starting to hike up this knob and found this area that we started calling the bull's bedroom. And it just had rub after rub after rub and tracks. And it was amazing. It just felt like they were there 5 minutes ago.
So I don't know how many vertical feet we gained, but it was a lot. I look out of the corner of my eye and put my binos up. Sure enough, 2 young bulls just feeding, doing their thing. There's one straight, and then there's one a little bit left.
And we watched them for a while, and we were thinking they're spikes, and then all of a sudden we got a better view of them. We're like, oh, they're both 5 points. Those are awesome. Like, we could go after those.
You know, when they're out in the wide open of a burn, you just kind of got to let them get to their beds and then decide what the wind's doing, what the setup is. And I'm seeing so many elk tracks and so much elk sign on our way up the ridge. I'm thinking we got to get up that ridge and investigate, because that ridge takes us right up above where that bull was the night before that we couldn't get to come across those scree slopes.
We'll check that out. And if we don't see or hear anything, we'll come back here and watch these guys. And if they start going this way, see that green patch right there? That's where all those rubs were. Yeah. If we had a cow party, you'd call both of those in.
And we start calling and doing everything we can to try to get a response. Nothing.
You want to call Andrew? Maybe you should be the guy calling.
I just really don't think that's a good idea, Randy.
No? All right.
Might sound like some different animal.
The plan was hatched that let's start working our way back down and see if we can locate those 2 younger bulls. And if we can find them, let's see what we can do.
Andrew spotted the 2 bulls, both bedded behind trees. It was a really great spot. It was definitely hard to see. And we were able to watch them for quite a while and put together a plan.
There they are. They're bedded. They're for elk to bed out in a south-facing slope in complete open like that on a clear, bright day is so rare. But here they were.
And our plan was to get lower and get covered, and then Randy and Andrew would be 50 yards behind calling. And the theory was they were gonna get up, drop down in the creek, come downwind of us, and I'd have a great shot on them.
At one point, all of a sudden, the bulls are just up on their feet looking straight down. And I'm like, uh-oh. That looks like elk that smelled something. They took about 2 seconds to say, something's not right, and off they ran. Through rock and scree. Man, it was impressive to see how much ground they could cover when they decided to.
This is one of their beds. The other one's right next to me. And we freaking came up this right, the front, the face of what they were on. Instead of right there. We should have come up right there. Crested over that and shot him taking a nap. Oh well. Find another one.
Karrson and Dale come back, and Karrson's pretty hard on himself there. He's kicking himself. He said, I actually walked one little drainage too far. And he said he ended up coming up right up underneath him, which with those thermals, they were gonna smell him.
Try a different approach this time.
Nah.
You had good intention there.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that approach.
I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah. You get another one.
Yep.
Now it was Andrew's turn. And we spent the rest of the day calling and glassing and calling and glassing. It's pretty open in those burns, and a lot of times you can glass elk. And we didn't see any. So the second full day of the hunt, the idea was, all right, we know where those two young bulls went to when they got spooked. Yeah, it's about an extra 1.5 miles down in there. So we left camp pretty early and we're chugging along. We're calling a bit along the way, but we're not seeing anything, not hearing anything.
So we decided we're going to climb this big face, and once we got up that face, we would kind of wrap around the outside of it and be in some pretty prime territory.
And it took us a long time to get up on that ridge. And as is always the case, it's so much steeper than it looks on a map. It's so much steeper than it looks from afar.
What do you think?
I think I'm getting too old for this stuff. That's what I'm thinking. I know whose idea it was to gain 800 or 900 feet of vertical in about not even a half mile. Well, we start getting up there where the ridge starts flattening out. And I look down and there is elk dung crap that is so fresh. I mean, it still has the moisture on it. So Dale, you and Andrew go that way. Karrson, you go this way, and we'll set up. I'll be in the middle, down below you. And if there are any elk on the top, maybe they'll come over to investigate. Well, as Karrson's walking up there, he turns to me, he's like, right here, right here.
The elk that were up there must have heard a rock tumble or a twig snap or something and tipped them off. So they started walking with pretty serious purpose. They were going definitely, it wasn't just a mosey, they were moving.
And we're trying to get the attention of Andrew and Dale.
I never saw any bulls there, but we saw so much sign that was like slimy, fresh bull crap that definitely says there were some bulls with them.
What are you thinking next?
I know, I'm gonna look at my Onyx. See, I want a report from Karrson of what he saw. And did they go that way? Did they go down?
I saw like 4 or 5 cow heads walk by. I stopped looking and tried to get a brain stop. I don't know what else walked by after that. But I didn't see any antlers walk by.
So right now you think they'd be that way?
First of all, on this side, I think they probably went right over the corner.
And so we just followed the ridge line, cow calling, bugling, doing whatever we could to hopefully get a response. And we took that all the way up timberline. And we got up there, and the only thing that was up there was a bunch of blue grouse. Oh, look at that. There's dinner right there. It's right there. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Got him.
He's good.
Now you owe us dinner.
I owe you dinner. And I was excited. I'm like, 2 blue grouse.
It's not exactly what we were after, but
What?
I'm feeling quite satisfied with.
What do you mean? I told you guys this was a grouse hunt. Sorry guys, it's grouse. I get that way. We walked the whole way up that drainage, all the way back to camp. Karrson bugling and calling the whole way. Not a single response. Well, now that Karrson has that out of his system, what do you say we go try to find an elk between here and camp?
I think that's probably what we ought to do.
Well, I believe that's a wrap on day 3. If Karrson is not tired of bugling yet, that guy is a marathon bugler. We're gonna go cook some bluegrass. And for sure the strategy in the morning was to hunt up from camp. Instead of hunting down where the burn is and all the people are, we're just gonna have to figure out, is there anything up in these other drainages? And they're rougher, they're nastier, they're just hard hunting. Well, we start hoofing it up from camp, bugling along the way, and we're about a mile from our camp on the trail. And all of a sudden, we hear this faint bugle over the ridge. All right, now we got a target. We can't cross that scree, it's too noisy. So we're gonna have to go around here, find the quietest path we can, and then start getting towards him and see if we can pull him downhill. And try to stay with the thermal the entire time. The idea was that to have Dale and Andrew go up that way, Karrson and I will stay in the bottom, and we'll set up and do some calling sequences on our way. The hope would be the bull would come down off the ridge, and Andrew and Dale would be right in his path if he decided to do that.
So I'm gonna go about 50 more. I think we're gonna be in position to get a shooting lane and start calling. We've been calling cows and bugles for maybe 30 or 40 minutes or so. And he's up there. We've heard some very soft responses. So the guess is he's bedded down. He's not using his whole cavity to breathe, so it's really quiet and soft.
The last couple times we heard him, he just did that.
You know, it's 11 a.m., so we're gonna get kind of that swirly wind here in a bit, and then come the afternoon, the thermals are gonna change, and there's no way we can work up this. So I think we're gonna go down and find our buddies and try to see what the next plan is.
But we see if we hear him again later today, and if so, we have a chance to be more aggressive than this morning. We were so far away.
Yeah. So with that, we'll just push up the hill a ways, find a nice spot to hang out for a few hours, wait for the day to change. We'll go back at it again.
So we spent a lot of time kind of waiting around, glassing the hills, hoping to get a better shot, but you know, we ran out of shooting light and the day was over.
We've spent about our time. We haven't had any responses. The wind is wild. It's kind of going a couple different directions, and it's starting to rain a little bit. So we've got no sign that this bull is interested in coming down and seeing what's going on. So it's not with any shortage of cow calls. So we're gonna pull out now, but I think we're probably gonna come back after this tomorrow because we know he's up there, but it's kind of a lost cause now. So we're gonna head in, catch up with the guys, see where it goes from there.
We're not pulling camp. We found an elk that wants to talk a little bit, and we're gonna stay here and we're gonna get that bull. Anyhow, today is whatever day, and we're going to climb that ridge in the absolute wet, miserable, all-night rain conditions. And Karrson gives a bugle, and we get a response.
Just heard a bugle right over there. We're gonna downgrade layers. We're gonna move up another 50 feet. We're gonna start it. Okay. As quietly as possible. Oh. I'm talking about it.
And it sounds like the same exact bull from the day before, and it sounds like he's in the same exact place from the day before.
And we checked the map again and decided to go kind of straight up the mountain on the side of this giant drainage. So if you imagine the drainage is this big bowl with 2 major creeks coming in and a number of fingers, we're gonna come up on the entire outside rim of it and come all the way around in glass and use the wind to our advantage to try to get a better location on the bull, which we knew was just in that general vicinity, but we couldn't pinpoint the day before. That strategy paid off almost immediately.
There he is. You see him? Oh yeah, wow. Look at that thing, Jesus.
There ends up being, I think, 3 cows in this bull.
So we moved probably about a mile down and over a couple of little fingers and got into a better position, located the bull again and the cows, and then decided to kind of wait to see what would happen with the wind.
Wait a minute, check the wind. Another 200 yards.
Screwed up swirl.
Yeah.
And the game could be over.
Right. Okay.
Said, look, the thermals are what they're gonna be right now. We got a strong prevailing wind out of the northwest. We just gotta make this happen.
That scree is gonna have a nice wind coming right over it too. There's no break.
Did you see what that wind's doing?
Yeah, it went straight down into the bowl. And over that scree, it's gonna do the same thing, even faster. I think we're gonna do this. We've done everything else right so far. We just gotta get there.
The approach was moving from, I think, about 8,000 feet across this giant scree pile over a creek and then into these hills right here where we thought the bull would respond to a bugle.
Okay, we got, I think, a good spot as you could ask for. Alternatively, he might do the beeline, which would take him through all this timber right here. I've got kind of a bad lane, but then a great lane and a third lane. Randy and Karrson are hidden by some trees. Just around the bend over here. So in the event that the bull does beeline for them, and we miss that shot because he's moving so fast, Karrson's there and they can stop him at 20 or so before they get close.
And we get a little closer and we hear him bugle again, super soft. Dale says, wait, I think I see something. And it's a giant branch bull. And as the bull stands up, he starts to turn and his antlers turn around and he looks right over at us. And we just stood there, frozen. And I just barely start to draw my bow back. And in a second, he's kind of stepped out of that window and we can't see him anymore.
So I just tumbled down about 100 feet and found his tracks, and he was moving and his cows must have got up, hit that shell, and he was right behind him. And that is, that's pretty disappointing. But I've also never been that close to a giant 6 or 7 point elk. That's gone. That's long gone. I'm not gonna follow him. I mean, we're not gonna catch him.
Those kind of situations are impossible. I know Andrew's being pretty hard on himself about, oh, if I would have this, if I would have that. No, it's how it is.
Oh my God.
That entire experience of from start to finish at the bottom of the drainage, all the way through our path and our strategy and avoiding the wind, and to get into a position to see that bull stand up, turn, and almost look right at us and not see us is it's probably one of the top outdoor experiences I've ever had.
But that is still the most successful archery elk hunt I have ever had.
Really? Good.
By miles.
So he's only like that far away, huh?
So close. Dang it. If that's not interacting with the wild on another level, I don't know what it is.
What are we gonna do tomorrow?
Well, we know where there's one bull, we assume, after tonight that we didn't jump. Up in the draw, mile and a half, 2 miles down.
Okay.
It's the only thing we know a location on, to my knowledge.
Sounds like that's where we should go in the morning.
I think so.
What time?
Early as possible.
We're not hearing any response. Nothing. Dang it. There's this one little bench up there that has some unburned timber that is full of rubs. If I'm an elk, I would expect a bugle to come from this bench. I told Karrson, I said, you know, just lay on the bugle here real quick.
Randy says there's a bull up there. We'll see.
Oh, that's the same spot he came from last night.
Randy was right. That bull called from the same spot we heard him last night.
All right, well, let's get closer. Now we can see him and 3 cows.
That bull was awesome. I think he was a 6x6, and he was beautiful and big and mature, and oh my goodness, he was great.
So I told the guys, I'm gonna make a landmark of how high up that slope they are. We're gonna go down, across, and around and try to get on the ridge behind them at that same elevation, and we're just gonna let them have it.
We probably have maybe 40 minutes before the thermals really switch and really become strong uphill.
All right, we're gonna set up. You guys go slightly this way, Karrson and Dale. Andrew, you go down slightly, and I'm just gonna lay it to them. I mean, I'm trying to be the most bad dude on the mountain.
He's like, Randy's getting aggressive down there. He's making noises I've never heard.
Randy's rummaging around, going like a madman, and he finally just called back after like 3 minutes. Hopefully he's coming down.
We're like, oh, here he comes. This is happening. And my heart's just like, it's game time. Like, I'm ready for this.
Through the burned timber, all of a sudden I can see him. And he's standing up there and he's just looking. And he's trying to see, where's this bull?
And his cows start to walk off. And he almost steps right into my shooting lane, like that freaking close, very close.
Because all of a sudden the cows that were kind of content and sort of coming our direction start making a line out of there.
And then he keeps following his cows and never stepped into a shooting lane. We never tracked him back down.
Anyone who archery elk hunts on public land, you know the, well, maybe this or if that or what for. You think about how many dots have to connect perfectly to be successful filling an archery elk tag on public land. A lot.
Sorry, man.
No, don't be sorry.
It was really refreshing and rewarding for me. It's one of those kind of slap across the face like, Randy, wake up, man. You have got it made. Don't ever, ever let a hard day or bad weather or uncooperative animals take the smile off your face. Because look at these guys. They've dealt with all that and they are smiling from ear to ear.
It was just amazing, to spend time with Randy. Anytime you're spending time with Randy, you're learning. Anytime you have a question, anytime you want advice, guidance, what is the animal thinking? Why would we do that? Why wouldn't we do this? Randy's got an answer, and it's based in experience and time in the field. And generally he's right. Backcountry bow hunting in September is like a dream of anybody that considers themselves a sportsman. And to have that opportunity through our relationship with Gerber and Randy is just incredible.
The mental challenge and puzzle of that every single step you're taking is so rewarding, and personally, like, it just changes you in a way. It reminds you, makes you feel more close to nature. But that's not what Montana elk hunting is. I don't know what is. It's a national treasure, and I just hope that this is maintained forever, and I hope that other people have the opportunity to experience this like I did.